Tim Marshall's Prisoners of Geography explores how physical geography shapes nations' politics, warfare, and societal development. He highlights how mountains, deserts, rivers, and plains influence global dynamics. For instance, Russia's continuous concern over Ukraine stems from Ukraine's lack of mountains, making it an easy invasion route. Conversely, China and India, despite their shared 2,500-mile border, have rarely clashed due to the formidable Himalayan mountain range separating them. Marshall's interest in geopolitics was sparked by his reporting on the Balkan conflicts in the 1990s, where he observed how leaders exploited ancient divisions among Serbians, Croats, and Bosniaks. He notes the historical significance of the Ibar River in these divisions, with Serbians retreating to one side and Muslim Albanians settling on the other after the Ottoman defeat in the late 14th century. Neutral perspective. Marshall's introduction effectively sets the stage for the book's central thesis: geography's profound and often overlooked influence on human affairs. The examples of Ukraine and the Himalayas immediately illustrate how physical features can dictate strategic vulnerabilities and natural defenses. His personal anecdote about the Balkan conflicts adds a human element, demonstrating how geographical divisions can be exploited for political ends. While the introduction clearly establishes the book's perspective, it does so by presenting a compelling argument supported by historical examples, rather than making overtly biased claims. The focus remains on the impact of geography, allowing readers to consider the implications without explicit judgment. Russia's vast, flat European plain, lacking natural barriers, has historically made it vulnerable to invasions from the West. This vulnerability has driven Russia's persistent desire for a buffer zone of friendly states along its western border, leading to its expansionist tendencies and interventions in neighboring countries. The country's limited access to warm water ports has also been a significant geographical constraint, influencing its foreign policy and naval ambitions, particularly in the Black Sea and Arctic regions. The harsh climate and immense size further complicate governance and infrastructure development, contributing to a centralized, authoritarian political system. Neutral perspective. Marshall's analysis of Russia's geography and its impact on foreign policy is a widely accepted geopolitical viewpoint. The emphasis on the lack of natural barriers and the historical drive for buffer zones accurately reflects Russia's strategic concerns. The discussion of warm water ports as a geographical constraint is also a key factor in understanding Russian ambitions. While the chapter presents a strong case for geographical determinism, it's important to acknowledge that political ideologies, leadership decisions, and economic factors also play significant roles in shaping a nation's actions. The geographical constraints explain why certain tendencies exist, but not necessarily how or when they will manifest. China's geography is characterized by natural defenses: the Himalayas to the southwest, deserts to the north and west, and the Pacific Ocean to the east. These features have historically protected China from invasion, allowing its civilization to develop relatively undisturbed. However, the same geography also limited its outward expansion. The country's long coastline and navigable rivers have facilitated trade and maritime power, making it a dominant force in Asia. Internally, the fertile eastern plains support a large population, while the rugged western regions pose challenges for integration and development, leading to ethnic tensions and regional disparities. Neutral perspective. Marshall's depiction of China's geography as a primary determinant of its historical development and current geopolitical stance is largely accurate. The natural barriers have indeed provided a degree of isolation, fostering internal cohesion and a unique cultural identity. The emphasis on the Pacific Ocean as a gateway for trade and influence is also well-founded. However, the chapter could benefit from a more nuanced discussion of how China's internal geographical disparities, particularly between the developed coastal regions and the less developed western areas, contribute to social and economic challenges. While geography sets the stage, internal policies and historical events have also played a crucial role in shaping China's trajectory. The United States benefits from an exceptionally favorable geography. Bordered by two vast oceans, it enjoys natural protection from external threats. Its extensive network of navigable rivers, particularly the Mississippi River system, has facilitated internal trade and westward expansion, fostering economic growth and national unity. The country's diverse climate and abundant natural resources, including fertile land for agriculture, have contributed to its self-sufficiency and economic prosperity. This geographical advantage has allowed the U.S. to focus on internal development and project power globally without significant existential threats to its homeland. Neutral perspective. Marshall's portrayal of the United States' geographical advantages is widely accepted. The natural protection offered by two oceans, coupled with an extensive river system and abundant resources, has undeniably contributed to its stability and prosperity. This chapter effectively highlights how favorable geography can foster internal unity and allow for global power projection. However, a neutral perspective would also acknowledge that while geography provides a foundation, human agency, political decisions, and historical events, such as westward expansion, industrialization, and immigration, have been equally crucial in shaping the nation's development. The narrative, while accurate, could be broadened to include the complex interplay of these factors. Western Europe's fragmented geography, characterized by numerous mountain ranges and rivers that do not connect, has historically led to the formation of distinct nation-states with diverse languages and cultures. Unlike the unified plains of Russia or the US, Europe's varied terrain has fostered competition and conflict, resulting in centuries of warfare. However, this fragmentation has also driven innovation and economic development as nations competed and collaborated. The region's access to the Atlantic Ocean and its many natural harbors has facilitated global trade and exploration, contributing to its historical dominance in maritime affairs. Neutral perspective. Marshall's argument that Western Europe's fragmented geography led to distinct nation-states and frequent conflict is a well-established historical perspective. The contrast with the unified plains of Russia or the US effectively highlights the role of physical barriers in shaping political boundaries and cultural identities. The emphasis on access to the Atlantic for trade and exploration is also crucial for understanding Europe's historical global influence. However, a neutral analysis would also consider the counter-argument that while geography presented challenges, the development of strong political institutions, shared cultural values, and economic interdependence, especially after World War II, have significantly mitigated the historical fragmentation, leading to greater integration and cooperation in modern times. The narrative could be balanced by acknowledging the triumph of human ingenuity and political will over geographical constraints. Africa, despite its immense size, 3 times that of the US, presents significant geographical challenges to human development. Its vastness includes diverse terrains, northern deserts, central jungles, and southern high plains. Natural harbors are scarce, and rivers are often interrupted by waterfalls, hindering internal contact and trade. The continent also lacks easily cultivable plants and domesticable animals, and its hot, densely populated interior fosters diseases like malaria and HIV. Historically, these factors made it difficult for European and Arab traders to penetrate beyond the coastal regions, where they primarily engaged in salt and slave trade. European powers eventually colonized Africa, arbitrarily drawing borders that ignored existing ethnic and linguistic divisions, leading to ongoing conflicts and hindering unified development. Neutral perspective. Marshall's analysis of Africa's geographical challenges is a common and largely accurate portrayal of the continent's historical development. The emphasis on limited navigable rivers, scarcity of natural harbors, and the prevalence of diseases highlights significant obstacles to internal cohesion and external trade. The discussion of arbitrarily drawn colonial borders and their impact on ethnic conflict is also a critical point. However, a neutral perspective would also acknowledge the immense resilience and diversity of African societies and the role of external factors beyond geography, such as the transatlantic slave trade and ongoing neo-colonial practices, in hindering development. While geography presents constraints, human agency and political choices within and outside Africa have also played a crucial role in shaping its present. The narrative could be enriched by exploring successful adaptations to these geographical challenges and the continent's rich pre-colonial history. The Middle East is a region defined by its challenging geography, characterized by alternating mountains and deserts, and a scarcity of water. These features have historically contributed to political instability and conflict, as nations vie for control over limited resources and strategic territories. The arbitrary borders drawn by colonial powers, often disregarding ethnic and sectarian lines, have further exacerbated tensions, leading to ongoing internal and external conflicts. The region's vast oil reserves, while a source of immense wealth, have also attracted external intervention and fueled geopolitical rivalries, making it a focal point of global power struggles. The diverse religious and cultural landscape, combined with geographical fragmentation, has hindered regional unity and fostered a complex web of alliances and rivalries. Neutral perspective. Marshall's analysis of the Middle East's geopolitical landscape, heavily influenced by its geography and the discovery of oil, is a foundational understanding of the region. The emphasis on the lack of natural barriers, the strategic importance of waterways, and the historical fragmentation due to tribal and religious divisions provides a compelling framework. However, a neutral perspective would also highlight the significant role of external powers and their interventions throughout history, which have often exacerbated existing tensions and shaped political outcomes beyond purely geographical determinants. The narrative could be further enriched by acknowledging the diverse interpretations of religious texts and the agency of local actors in shaping their destinies, rather than solely focusing on geographical constraints. Chapter 7 delves into the complex geopolitical landscape of Pakistan and India, two nations officially separated in 1947 but still embroiled in disputes, particularly over the Kashmir region. Their geographical proximity and shared borders, combined with deep-seated historical grievances and religious differences, have made the region a persistent flashpoint. The control of vital water resources, especially rivers originating in Kashmir, further exacerbates the conflict. Both countries maintain significant military presences along their borders, and the constant threat of escalation looms. The diverse terrain, ranging from fertile plains to rugged mountains, adds another layer of complexity to governance and resource management, contributing to ongoing challenges in both nations. Neutral perspective. Marshall prodigious analysis of the geographical factors influencing the relationship between Pakistan and India, particularly the role of the Himalayas and the Indus River system, provides a clear framework for understanding their historical and ongoing conflicts. The emphasis on water resources as a critical point of contention is highly relevant. However, a neutral perspective would also acknowledge the profound impact of political ideologies, religious differences, and the legacy of partition, which have often overshadowed purely geographical determinants. While geography creates a stage for interaction, the choices made by political leaders and the deep-seated historical grievances between the two nations have been equally, if not more, influential in shaping their relationship. The narrative could be further nuanced by exploring the potential for cooperation and shared interests despite geographical challenges. Chapter 8 focuses on Japan and Korea. Japan, an island nation, has leveraged its maritime access to become a major economic and military power, despite its limited natural resources. Its insular geography has fostered a strong national identity and cultural homogeneity. Korea, on the other hand, is divided into North and South, a consequence of post-World War II geopolitical dynamics. The heavily fortified border between them, a man-made geographical feature, underscores the ongoing tension and reliance on external alliances for a fragile peace. Both nations demonstrate how human factors and historical events can profoundly interact with geographical realities to shape national destinies. Neutral perspective. Marshall prodigious examination of Japan and Korea prodigious island and peninsula geographies, respectively, and their impact on national identity and foreign policy, offers valuable insights. The emphasis on Japan prodigious insularity fostering a unique culture and its reliance on maritime trade is accurate. Similarly, Korea prodigious position as a land bridge between major powers, leading to historical invasions and a strong sense of national resilience, is well articulated. However, a neutral perspective would also acknowledge the significant role of internal political developments, technological advancements, and external alliances, particularly with the United States, in shaping their modern trajectories. While geography provides a foundational context, the agency of these nations in navigating their geopolitical realities and forging their own paths is equally important. The narrative could be broadened to include how these nations have actively leveraged their geographical positions for economic and strategic advantage. Latin America, a region of immense geographical diversity, faces unique challenges shaped by its physical landscape. The Andes Mountains, vast rainforests like the Amazon, and extensive coastlines create natural barriers that have historically hindered political and economic integration. The region's rich natural resources, while offering potential for development, have also attracted external exploitation and contributed to internal conflicts over land and wealth. Political instability, corruption, and social inequality are often exacerbated by the difficulties of governing diverse populations across challenging terrains. The reliance on commodity exports, rather than diversified economies, leaves many nations vulnerable to global market fluctuations. The chapter highlights how geographical factors, combined with historical legacies of colonialism and unequal power structures, continue to influence Latin America's development trajectory. Neutral perspective: Marshall's analysis of Latin America's geographical challenges, such as the Andes Mountains, the Amazon rainforest, and the lack of navigable rivers, provides a compelling explanation for the region's historical fragmentation and difficulties in achieving continental unity. The emphasis on the challenges to internal cohesion and the impact on economic development is well argued. However, a neutral perspective would also acknowledge the significant role of historical factors, such as colonialism, external interventions, and political instability, in shaping the region's trajectory. While geography presented obstacles, the choices made by political elites and the enduring legacy of colonial structures have also played a crucial role in hindering integration and development. The narrative could be further enriched by exploring instances of regional cooperation and the diverse cultural and economic landscapes that exist despite geographical constraints. Chapter 10 shifts focus to the Arctic, a region increasingly at the forefront of geopolitical and environmental concerns. The melting of the Arctic ice cap, driven by global warming, is opening up new shipping routes and access to vast reserves of natural resources, including oil, gas, and minerals. This newfound accessibility is triggering a scramble for control among various nations, particularly those with Arctic coastlines, leading to heightened military presence and territorial disputes. The chapter highlights the delicate balance between economic opportunity and environmental preservation in this fragile ecosystem. The Arctic serves as a microcosm of the broader challenges posed by climate change, where geographical shifts directly impact international relations, resource competition, and the urgent need for sustainable governance. Neutral perspective: Marshall's prodigious discussion of the Arctic as a new geopolitical frontier, driven by climate change and the opening of new shipping routes and access to resources, is timely and insightful. The focus on the competition among Arctic nations and the potential for increased militarization is a crucial aspect of understanding future global dynamics. However, a neutral perspective would also emphasize the scientific and environmental implications of Arctic melting, the rights and perspectives of indigenous communities in the region, and the potential for international cooperation in managing this shared space. While the book highlights the strategic competition, it's prodigious important to also consider the broader global responsibility for environmental stewardship and the complex interplay of economic, environmental, and social factors beyond purely geopolitical interests.